I think like the biggest thing that like annoys me in like the whole dating world is like talking stages. Like that shit's so annoying. Like the whole like, and just like the inconsistency in them. Like I literally like hate that like so much. But I think that's like my biggest thing. It's just like
what specifically? Just
like the fact of just like you like, I don't know how to word this. Like in like talking stages, and it's just like you're like labeled that, and it's like people like are considered like you can't like, you're just like confused, and like most of the time like the girl gets like attached or something, and they like see it like it's gonna lead to a relationship, and it's always not. And it's just like, that's like my biggest thing is like I just hate the whole like how like talking stages are so like normalized. Like traditional dating does not exist in this generation.
What?
Okay, what'd you think?
What the F is she trying to say?
I don't know. That's
she just wants to like have an arranged marriage or something? Like you don't want to talk to someone and get to know them?
That's why she's kind of going viral right now on Twitter and stuff, because less about the point she's trying to make and just her ability to speak and how many times she says like.
Just a couple times.
Yeah, like I do the same thing sometimes, so I don't want to come down too on her. I hate when I watch like a video back. See, I just did it. Watch like a video back.
Yeah.
I'll add it in. It's contagious.
It is.
Right? It is. But that is aggressive to the point where no matter what she was trying to say and what point she was trying to deliver, I would have trouble taking it.
She couldn't get
seriously
the point
at all.
Across, at all.
This is from a podcast called The Whatever Podcast. We're going to look at a few clips today from what I guess you would call these manosphere podcasts, which is essentially more traditional men inviting on females or women. Excuse me, I got in trouble for calling women females recently, so be careful there. I guess that's a thing. And they talk about dating and stuff and modern day relationships. Okay. In the few short clips that I've watched, I'm so glad that I am older and out of this ecosystem right now.
I've thought of that many times.
Because
anytime you show me anything dating related or we talk about online dating,
yeah,
it's a
war zone out there. This poor girl, I don't know. I think you have to try and somehow train yourself to eliminate that. What do they call that? Valley girl talk? No, that's more the accent where they draw like, you know the Valley girl accent.
But I don't really know.
You can't go on a podcast and be taken seriously, I think, if you talk like that. You just can't.
So how'd she get invited?
Oh, they invite anybody on. They bring on multiple guests. I mean, it's like usually a room full of like 7, 8, 9 people, and it just is this war zone of men versus women arguing about misogyny and all this stuff. So you'll get a little taste here.
All right.
Here's
in on it.
Here's something.
If she's going out, it's a deal breaker for me.
Huge red flag.
That for me, it's a deal breaker.
I totally agree.
Why is that a deal breaker? Is it because it makes you insecure?
It has nothing to do with insecurity. It's
what
just, this is a dream world hypothetical scenario. Girls really don't be hitting up guys like this. Would you be okay with your long-term monogamous partner going to a nightclub, bar, or party type environment where throughout the course of the night, he's going to get approached, flirted with, and sexually pursued by numerous attractive women, some of which are more attractive than you and could potentially be a better partner than you, and these women are buying him drinks, getting him drunk, and enthusiastically want to sleep with him that night and steal him away from you? You're going to tell me you'd be okay with that?
No, not with that. Definitely no.
So you can see how this can be a little contradictory, because none of you would be okay with it, right? But then you say guys should be okay with girls going out all the time.
These are the things they talk about. There's a couple things going on here, a couple things at play.
There's going out. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And then there's going out with all those other details that he threw in to make it sound like this horrific experience.
Well, he was touching on the double standard essentially, because the question was about he was being called insecure because he doesn't want his girlfriend going out to the clubs regularly. And then he tried to phrase it for them in a way, okay, we'll flip the tables. If your man was going out in a situation where he was being pursued, blah, 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 constantly people hitting on him, drinking, trying to be his partner, are you going to be comfortable with that?
They made worst case scenario.
That is the reality of females going to clubs. I'm not saying that's the reality of the girl going to the club, that's her goal. A lot of girls just want to go have a ladies' night, do whatever. Right. But when you're in a club as a female, undoubtedly, there is a large swath of the population of men in that club that are looking to get laid and will do anything. They don't care about who's got boyfriends. They don't care about any of that. And that is just a question of, putting yourself in a position where that's even a possibility, right? So I don't really know the answer to this. I think a lot of it comes down to the age bracket too. If you're a 19, 20-year-old girl, you're in college, or you're a 20-year-old dude in college and you're dating a girl, it's not crazy for them to, like, you're still at that age where you're clubbing age.
Right.
Girls want to go out to the club. If you're in your 30s,
Mrs. Lush is
you
like,
know what I'm
hey,
saying?
honey,
If you were like you were a clubber when you were that age.
Sure was.
You know what I'm saying? And whatever, you were that age, that's fine. But if you're in your 30s and you're in a committed relationship and you're trying to go to the club all the time with the girls, then I'm starting to get a little concerned. Or there's some red flags. Maybe your priorities are a little misaligned.
Yes.
But at that age...
But like, if it were a one-off situation, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to this bachelorette party, give a crap because you know how I'm going to handle it.
Of course not, but also
First
if you
of
went
all,
to...
I'm not some fly young thing and people trying to like...
Honey, you're
stop it.
You're a 10. You're a 10.
Oh,
Don't
stop
get it twisted. If you go to a club, you're getting absolutely...
I despise clubs now at this point. Anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
But
If you were at a bachelorette party
You're gonna be
and you
able to
guys
trust-
went to the club in the first place and be like, you guys okay? What are you doing?
yeah, no, you'd think
You're
that's
almost...
fine.
Y'all are
something's
closer to 40 than 30. What are you guys doing in the club? Ain't nobody trying to... Gonna have to call that emergency IV the next day again.
True story.
Yeah.
We weren't even at a club. We were at a restaurant.
Yeah. Can I tell that story? Very brief version of it.
Yes.
Last bachelorette party my wife went to was, ladies had a good time and she was so hungover the next day, she ordered a la carte IV nurse to come to where she was to give her IV fluids because she was so violently ill.
Yeah, I was so sick. Also, we were on an island. We were in Nantucket.
Yes.
So I didn't even know if that service was going to be available, but literally it saved my life.
Yeah.
I was good to go right after that.
Yeah.
I was like, hop in the shower and go meet my friends at the beach after.
It's incredible how fast it works. when
Unreal.
They
So-
provide your blood with saline solution.
I definitely haven't been even close to that drunk since then.
I know, yeah.
Because
you
that
don't
is
drink
like
that
a
much.
benchmark in my mind of how
You're like,
ill alcohol can make me.
step number 1, don't do shots.
I will never do shots now.
Yeah. So little taste there.
We wanna
These
see it.
podcasts and why this genre of content is so popular. There's a very big men versus women thing going on culturally right now. Kind of spearheaded by the Andrew Tate thing and some of this stuff where it's like traditional men versus new age empowered women or feminists, and this debate between what's a high value woman, what's a high value man. I find it very interesting. I think there can be a lot of opinions and there's a lot of different things along the spectrum. The problem with the clips online, as is tradition, it's always the most polarizing ideas, people at the opposite ends of the spectrum that get in these conflicts that go viral. And
Of course.
Right. So there's not a lot of room for nuance, unfortunately. Let's try another one.
If you were dating a traditional guy, in what ways would you be traditional? Would you listen to what he says?
wouldn't.
Would you let him lead?
Fuck other dude.
What's their whole thing with talking about traditional men? Like, what?
I would say
Are they
tradition.
talking about old school?
Yeah, traditional,
Or-
conservative, like think about earlier, like men provides for the woman. Woman's maybe a stay-at-home mom. She provides for the family. She's very focused on her man. What you would think of trad man, trad wife. 50s, 60s. Mom is caretaker, takes care of the kids. Isn't hoeing, the opposite of a hoe, basically. Is what what his definition would be. Okay. Modest, maybe doesn't even. They go as far sometimes as to be like, oh, I would rather have a woman that doesn't even have an Instagram, like that type of stuff. It does flirt with the line of seeming relatively possessive and controlling. Yeah. Some of the stuff I've seen, but there are some points too where it's like, okay, not necessarily don't have an Instagram, but maybe I don't want my wife having an OnlyFans or hoeing herself, right? Yeah. So some of the podcast clips we're going to see are from a podcast called Fresh and Fit, which is very controversial, but they're based out of Miami, which is like the epicenter of the whole world.
I was just going to say whorism. Is that a word?
Exactly.
Okay,
So
sorry, play this one.
It makes for some good content.
Like listen to him, let him lead. Like, yeah, that's like one way, is just like listening and like respecting like the conversations he has, or like just like, yeah, I mean, like listening. I mean, there's just not a lot like you can do to like leave like a huge first impression besides like what she said, like being yourself.
Sure.
Like it's just like, I mean, until the relationship progresses, there's just not a lot of things like a girl can do to show her appreciation towards the guy that she's with.
It's not until further. And you said
the big
initial
one.
stage.
The big one is fidelity.
Getting them to
But
know
and
you.
like,
The
I
big
mean,
one
you
is
can pay,
fidelity.
like,
Well, you're not dating yet.
Right.
So you expect the girl to be
the
loyal
most-
to you before on the first date?
That is probably the most attractive thing a girl could do.
But it's not
Is
reciprocated.
saying, I'm not seeing other guys right now. I'm just talking to you. That is probably the most attractive thing a girl could do or say.
I
That's
can
not
guarantee
value
you
in
that
his
on a
eyes.
first
True.
date. I can guarantee you that on a third. But I mean, on the first day, I'm still feeling it out, and then I mean,
So
yeah.
Yes, delete the online dating profile after I met you once.
So yeah, that seems a little bit insane. I guess he's trying to be anti-play the field. I don't think
Right.
it's not crazy to have, especially in today's online dating world, which I never did that with the online apps, but it's not to say that certainly previous to dating apps, there were dudes that had multiple, you know, you're talking to multiple chicks on your AIM instant messenger or something, right? Whatever it is in the 2000s.
man.
But yeah, like, so what's the rule? I guess her is like, oh, well, on a first date, no, I can't tell you I'm not talking to other people, but if I go out one or two more times and we're on a third date, that's probably a point where I'm gonna be like, all right, I don't want you, you know, what's the rules on it? How do you feel on it?
I would say what you just said. Yeah, like after a couple of dates, you kind of feel it out and make a decision like, okay, I'm not going to start anything with someone else.
I don't think there's a
happens.
hard and fast rule, but
No.
date number one is whatever. You get a real quick impression of like, okay, this isn't going to work. This is obvious.
Either, yeah, you know pretty quickly. Are you going to go out with them again or not?
Or it's like, okay, this went pretty well. Let's try a second date. I think by the second or third date, yeah, if you're showing intention that there could be a relationship here, I don't want you talking to other people anymore. That would be my thing. I don't think that's unreasonable. But dude, man, the way I can only imagine what it's like these days with these apps. I know dudes that have like, you know, you're just swiping all the time. You're starting cheeky little conversations, and I'm sure females are doing the same thing. So at all times, I think that's the biggest contamination that we've kind of had in the modern dating world, is that there's this idea of there could always be something mysterious or new or fresh. You know what I mean?
Something out there.
Yeah. I'm just glad I have a partner that I know well and don't have to deal with the frivolous nonsense.
I think everyone's been lying on dating
You have a partner that you're stuck with.
No, honey, I'm not stuck.
Oh, you're stuck.
I mean, I'm stuck, but I'm happy to be stuck. Yeah. Absolutely thrilled. I've never been more thrilled to be stuck in anything.
It's okay for men to lie about their height. Response.
By how much though? Like to what extent? Like if you're
Fuck it,
5'10",
dude. If you're 5'6", just say you're 6 feet.
Oh, absolutely not. That's
Oh,
it, dude.
this is one of my things.
Bruv. Well, here's why. A lot of women on dating apps, the photos that they use on dating apps, full face of makeup, filters. That's lying.
okay.
Ergo, we're just leveling the playing field. Do you have a response?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That was easy.
I don't really agree with
I
that.
don't really. I think filtering is lying more than wearing makeup. I mean, that's kind of like part of your attire and look. Like
exactly
you're
what I
telling
was
me that
gonna
someone
say.
has to go on there like I just got out of the shower. Nobody really wants to see that.
Makeup
It's not
makeup
cute.
is not lying.
I don't think makeup's lying.
No. There are
I don't think it's equivalent to lying about your height. How's that?
100%.
But filtering is a bit more down the line.
Filtering, I think, is deceptive. I don't like filters, and I'm going to show you something in a second along those lines. Makeup, I think there are tiers as well.
Yeah.
Makeup can be complimentary. It's very normal and expected in our culture for women to have some sort of makeup. That's what men are used to. So it would be weird if you're on a dating app to
kind of
just be
part
like,
of our attire.
"All right, yeah, here's my just out of bed face. I don't want to show you makeup, so I'm not lying." That makes no sense. But I have seen transformations on TikTok of like actual crackheads with no teeth.
I have too.
Have
We
you
watched
seen
it. I think we watched it together.
We
Amy.
did, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was scary, dude. So there's tiers, but ultimately no. But lying about your height, that's just weak. Because you show it that's
Yeah, you know immediately. It's always exaggerated. There's never no exaggeration.
He was just trying to make the point, I think, that women
get
are
it.
much more deceptive, so why don't we just lie about our height or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, I get it. The dude's always trying to make a point for like +1 for the dudes.
I mean,
Like we live in a society where Lizzo is really overweight and people think that she's a 10. Would you rate her a 10?
yeah, I guess. Like, I think all women are a 10, to be honest.
All women.
Yeah.
But-
I think
but-
I go outside and honestly, like, I see like 10 beautiful girls. I see like a fine man like every 2.5 years, if I'm gonna be honest.
So
I go outside and I see beautiful women everywhere.
That's such like a tee-hee thing to say. Like, I don't know, it's so stupid.
So, are you more interested in women?
So, that's what I mean. Do you like men or
It's
what?
kind of interesting. So not all men are 10s, but all women are 10s.
It sounds like you have a thing against men.
No, I don't really have a thing against men.
You can be
I love-
honest.
Antagonistic.
You can
No,
be
I
honest.
love men.
I don't hate men.
If the roles were reversed, they'd call them misogynistic, but you can say that and it's okay.
Yeah, I guess.
This girl, I don't like her energy, first of all. Also, they like to do this thing a lot where it's like, oh, well, if the roles were reversed. Right?
Yeah.
I say that sometimes in my videos too, which is true. Like the show I'm watching right now, MILF Manor.
Oh, dear.
I've heard rumors that there is going to be a DILF Manor. I'm like, how is that going to be socially acceptable to create a reality show with a bunch of...
Okay, no, yeah.
The show
MILF
over? We just did episode 6 or 7, so I don't know how many episodes there are. 8, 9, or 10. I'm telling you, if they do season 2, hon, no, that wouldn't work because you have the whole point of the show, is that it's these moms, MILFs.
Yeah.
They're there to find love, and they like younger men, and it's younger men that like older moms, but it's all of them with their sons.
Right.
It's the most the most incestual shit show I've ever seen in my life.
Sounds disgusting.
It is, but they're purposely trying to make it weirdly odd and incestual for the entertainment factor, and so people like me will watch it on Twitch because it is entertaining at a very vapid surface level.
Where do you watch it?
It's a TLC show, the Learning Channel. So I watch it on YouTube TV. What? Yeah. TLC is devolved from the Learning Channel of cool things where you learn stuff to just the most vapid reality television, and 90% of it is them exploiting morbidly obese people.
Yeah.
There's like 1,000 shows about obese people. 1,000-pound sisters, 1,000-pound best friends, my 1,000-pound life.
My 600-pound life.
Yeah. It's like we have a sick fascination with incredibly obese people, and it's kind of strange. All right, I think there's a little more from this girl out of curiosity. All right, is this her again?
That's not masculine. That's toxic masculinity.
Buzzwords. The buzzwords. What is toxic masculinity?
You should know that. You should know that.
Yes, I'm asking you.
No, I'm just saying that there is that kind of perception where I guess men can't yes, they could be the provider in the family, but they also can't show emotion or stuff like that. I feel like, or they just get so mad, or like their emotions are so high where they end up showing it in anger. I feel like that happens a lot, and I've seen that firsthand.
Okay.
What? Is she describing me playing video games? What do you think is toxic masculinity?
Oh, why are you putting me on the spot here, man?
I don't know.
I was not ready for that.
I know. We getting a little too serious now?
Yeah, this isn't fun.
Life's not always fun, hon. I don't even know. It is a buzzword though, for sure. That's been thrown around a lot the last few years. I think there's been this push to tie any sort of traditional masculine trait to toxic masculinity. Strength, guarded emotions, something. I think there's maybe a large spectrum of masculinity, right? And I think at the very peak, it can get toxic for sure. But I think there are things about what society, the more kind of progressive feminist ideal, thinks of traditional masculinity, they think is toxic, I think can be qualities that I like in men. I'm not saying you shouldn't show emotion and stuff like that, but I think strength and knowing when to show it, stuff like that, I think are maybe important. So I don't know. It depends. I do know that this small little clip from this podcast, taken out of context, toxic masculinity is the easiest buzzword to throw around for them. Well, that's just toxic masculinity. Right. So we don't have enough context to dive into that, and that's a definition that you need to spend a lot of time on discussing. I don't really know. All I know is that...
I'm not going to sit here and try and define it. Yeah. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, I could maybe think of an example.
Do you think I'm toxic? Do you think I'm toxically masculine?
No.
Or do you think I'm just the right amount of masculine? Just right. That's what I'm talking about. Here we go. Same girl.
What makes a high value woman?
Oh, God.
What's that?
Concepts.
What's that?
Concepts.
That's like Valley Girl
modesty,
talk, right?
Modesty, being demure.
Modesty. What does modesty?
Yeah, modesty in character, modesty in appearance, modesty in her demeanor.
You just don't like it when a woman is outspoken. You're intimidated by that.
Bitch, you just met me like 10 minutes ago.
Okay, let's
just say, you just called me a bitch. You insulted me. I have not insulted you. I said that you are intimidated. It seems to me that you are intimidated.
Nobody's intimidated by you, first of all.
I don't know.
Second of all,
yeah, no, it seems like you're intimidated by somebody that speaks the truth. That modesty, that is okay. That is your concern, modesty. So You just said that a high value woman, the first thing that came out of your mouth was modesty. That is at the.
So not really a lot to take out of that clip as far as like substance, but she did seem to get a little triggered about a man wanting modesty in a woman, which that kind of ties into the whole new age thing. Like, okay, it's okay to want there to be some modesty, but maybe not so modest that you like don't let them have a social media or something like that. You know what I mean?
That is then just controlling.
Yeah, again, there's a spectrum, and that's the problem. There's no nuance. It's like, all right, this guy's like, I like modesty. And she's like, well, that means you are intimidated by an outspoken woman. It's like, no, women can be modest and outspoken in their own way in different areas of their life. And then they just fight and scream at each other because you're misogynist. And it's like, you're a feminist. And blah, blah, blah. Boom, clips on YouTube, viral, content. Love it. We live in such a great culture. Perfect. Oh, here we go. This is the fresher fit.
If you look like a hoe, you behave like a hoe, you have pictures that might make you look like a hoe, well, guys are going to assume you're a hoe.
So because you post in a bikini, you're a hoe? Or look like a hoe?
Oh, hoe traits.
These are hoe traits, yes.
Yeah, hoe traits.
So what do you want her to wear to the beach?
She can take a picture and not put it on the internet for everyone else to see.
But you could go to the beach.
She doesn't have to post it on the internet for the world to see.
Why she gotta post it?
Why she gotta post it on the internet?
Why not?
For who?
For herself.
Oh, herself?
Hold on.
Yeah.
If it's for herself, why is it on social media then? Keep it in your camera phone.
Yeah.
So I will say these dudes are pretty infamous in this particular Red Pill community, Myron and whatever this guy's doing on the Fresh and Fit. They're a little more aggressively like, my woman should like not leave the house, you know, shouldn't have a social media, shouldn't look at other men. Like I'm the provider. I do that. Like she's my property type of stuff. Like very aggressively Red Pill to a little bit crazy.
Would you say it's toxic masculinity?
That's what most people would call it. But again, there are certain. That's the problem with nuance and like spectrums. There are certain values that these guys have that I don't disagree with.
Sure.
But they just are so far swung to one direction that it's too much in a lot of ways.
I don't know.
Because you want to post it
like
and you
my
want people.
That's not
Instagram's
for
like
yourself then. That's for everyone to see. That's for the public.
Yeah.
we look at
For
our own
yourself.
Instagrams more than anyone else's.
Bro, you put it on your phone, you keep it there. Put it on social media means everyone sees it. That's for the public. It's not for yourself.
That is true. I mean,
Yeah, they're not going to win that argument about putting it on social media for yourself.
That's what I
No,
mean.
You put it out there, it's to show it.
You're like, oh, we look at it more than anyone else. It's for us. I'm like, dude, you want the validation. I mean, we live in a culture now. We live in a culture where literally every single part of your life we're told needs to be validated by strangers on the internet or your friend group through social media. So I don't think a lot of the, I imagine a lot of the girls they have on this podcast are probably in the younger, like early 20s, mid 20s. This is the one based out of Miami. So again, there's the nuance. It's lush. Like, okay, you go to the beach with your friends. You want to take some pictures and throw it up on Instagram. No problem. That's a lot different than dressing in a bikini and twerking to a song or like bending, you know what I'm saying? Like doing it suggestively to try and bait men into your OnlyFans link or something. Right? We gotta have a nuance there. But these guys would be like, yeah, you're just not allowed to. You're not allowed to take. There's actually another clip on here, I think, of them saying, "Oh yeah, here you go."
What would you look for a woman to wife?
Right, like on Instagram.
That's like, yeah, thank you. So would you want to like have a bad bitch or like an average bitch?
You want to know what like is an uncomfortable answer and truth to this?
Yeah.
Most guys would prefer a girl that doesn't have Instagram.
At all? Like on Instagram at all?
Yeah.
Oh, Facebook?
But once again, she asked me the question, what would a guy want? I'm telling you what.
Wouldn't you be pretty curious if someone started talking to them nowadays and they were like, oh no, I don't have an Instagram or anything?
I think it depends on their age. It's interesting you say that because a lot of my closest friends I grew up with, who I game with, they don't have social media. Like Coop, Smitty, they don't use it at all.
Interesting.
But they're dudes, so it's whatever. They're very old school. But if there was like a 23-year-old girl that she was like, oh yeah, I don't have a social media. I don't know if it would concern me. Like, what are they going to be, a serial killer?
Be curious as to why.
I would be impressed, to be honest. Yeah.
You would be impressed? So that's what he's saying. He's like,
I would be impressed, but not in a way that's...
to hear a girl say they don't have an Instagram.
Yeah, not in a way that's like, ooh, I'm more attracted to her because of that, though. I don't think. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe. What most men will want. They want a girl that don't have Instagram or her shit's on private, it's hidden. Like,
What you guys want is not what we want. You want someone that's lit on Instagram that has a good lifestyle. You want a guy that's out and about with sports cars and able to do certain things. We don't want that shit. We don't want our girl all over the place. We want our girl to only show her body to us. We want our girl inside. We don't want our girl outside embarrassing us, being annoying, loud, obnoxious, not being agreeable, etc. Men are different.
I think there's some truth that can be extracted from that, but at the same time, it just kind of goes back to the trad man, trad wife. Like, man successful, makes all the money, woman doesn't, isn't.
You're making these terms up, trad man.
No, you're just so habitually sheltered from the side of the internet that I live on. I'm like YouTube, Twitter,
Definitely no
Reddit.
No Twitter for me.
You're like Facebook, Instagram, which is definitely more normie land.
Do people still use?
But sorry to break it to you, hun.
Snapchat?
You're no longer allowed to have an Instagram after I just got red pilled.
You're probably, if anything, he's like, can you post on Instagram?
Can you post more, please? An occasional thirst trap so we can get some traffic to our goddamn channel? Hun, you're
gonna have to be my photographer if you want that.
I don't want to say it, but the thumbnail we did with the deeper cut V-neck, I'm just saying the click-through rate was higher.
All right.
There's no secret here. I think there is a level of feeling threatened. Like if you're a high-value man, right, is what they would call it, you want to feel like you're the high-value man. It's a very pride, confidence thing. Maybe you wouldn't mesh with a woman who is a career-oriented woman. You want a woman who is more of a traditional wife, takes care of the kids in the homestead. That's fine. I think it comes down to preference. And there might be the opposite situation where you're a dude who is maybe more artistic or in a career that's not super high paying, social work, whatever it is, and you happen to vibe or fall in love with a woman who's very in like maybe a more powerful career and making more money.
Yeah.
And so the idea that there could be a relationship that exists where a woman is the one who provides financially and the man, that idea would make their brains explode.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They couldn't handle this idea that a woman could provide for the family where the men, either helped in his own way, stay-at-home dad type stuff. Couldn't imagine it. So I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but those dynamics definitely do exist. And I think when we first started dating, you were the breadwinner for a long time. Yeah.
For the first many years.
I was like long-haired musician bartender dude. It was like, you know what I'm saying?
Nursing career at that
You were
point.
crushing the nursing career. I was borrowing your credit card to buy IMAX. I could learn how to edit on.
Yeah.
Got the real OG right here. Now you're just a trad wife, but
listen, honey.
But it started the other way
if
around.
I needed to pick up and go to work, I could do it.
100%. You got
I'm working
those
right
skill
now,
sets.
aren't I?
You sure are.
Trad wife me. What I'm doing?
What
am I doing?
Don't trad wife me. You don't even know the term trad wife. So
I know it now.
Yeah.
I'll be throwing it around all afternoon probably.
You gonna use trad wife a lot? I love it. I love it.
Hey Jackson, I'm a trad wife. That's what Dad said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mom.
Mom, you're a trad wife?
Let me ask you a question. You said you're a mom, right?
Yes,
Do you have a son?
3 boys.
3 boys, awesome.
3 boys.
Let's say those sons grow up to become, of bachelor age. They're 30, got their money together, etc. And they're dating a girl that has some of these hoe tendencies, right? She hangs out with hoes. She thinks hoe behavior is okay, etc. Would you be okay with him marrying that girl?
Of course.
You would be. You wouldn't step in, intervene, or anything.
No.
You wouldn't warn him.
No.
She's ratchet though.
Part of me thinks the way that question was laid out, like he was led the question to try and elicit an obvious, like, yeah, I would have some red flags.
Right.
Because honestly, I think any mother would. Your mother wants what's best for your son's successful.
Right.
You see him courting or potentially being in a relationship with someone you don't think is good for him. It's not to say you have the right to tell him no.
Right,
but
exactly.
you can be honest that you might have some concerns. I think she feels pressured because she's in a room full of women. So she's not going to say, she's literally in a room full of probably hoes. I would say half the girls I have on there are hoes, quite frankly. This podcast, they do it on purpose. Like, so like, she's not going to say, yes, I would have a reservation there. And let's listen to the explanation.
I think it's different standards of hoes. You have some hoes that just hoe for money. It's $40 hoes. And you have some that's out here. And you have some that's out here who are really about their
She's like, we got $40 hoes.
We got a $40 hoe. We got a $100 hoe.
Their money, their standards.
So you think the way they hoe matters?
Men like freaky shit. So if you marry a hoe and you know what it is going into it, You're more acceptable to be when everybody else is leaving the club and picking up hoes. You're more acceptable to go home to your hoe.
All right.
Huh?
I don't know, man. That sounded like a lot of mental gymnastics right there.
Yeah, my head really hurts. This is like a lot
Hey.
right now. This is a lot.
You, honey, you are a $1,000 hoe. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, baby.
Crispy $1,000.
Thank you.
No, that's the word, and the word hoe is derogatory, and I only say that jokingly and lovingly. I'd never call you that seriously, but that was just I thought that.
Even care. Like that would not even offend me if you called me a hoe.
No, I guess like girls sometimes say that.
Yeah.
Like must see each other like fun, whatever. Yeah, yeah. I thought that clip was funny. I don't know. It just seemed like a little like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? What are we talking about here? Well, hon, now that I've sufficiently tried to red pill you,
That was a lot.
our job here is done. Your workday is over. You can go back to being a trad wife.
All right.
And a $1,000 hoe.
I'll go put my apron on.
We love it. Oh, I'm just kidding. You guys, thank you for joining us along this little trek through the land of, the manosphere, right? Think what you will about it. It does create some interesting content.
Sure does.
Yeah. And I appreciate you being here with us, watching through a little bit of it. Love to see a comment from you, and we'll see you in the next video. Deuces.